Poposky, for always joining us and sharing your insight. Now we move on. California Governor Gavin Newsom has called the Trump administration's demand for a $1 billion settlement from UCLA political extortion and vowed that the state will not bow. The administration froze $584 million in federal funding to the university over alleged antisemitism during pro-Palestinian campus protests. UCLA says it is reviewing the demand, which comes after similar settlements with Columbia and Brown universities. Chancellor Julia Frank warned staff and students that the funding suspension threatens the university's research work. Newsom's office accused President Donald Trump of weaponizing the Justice Department to pressure America's leading public university system, calling the demand a billion-dollar political shakedown. The government alleges UCLA failed to protect Jewish and Israeli students, while protesters, including some Jewish groups, argue that criticism of Israel's war in Gaza has been wrongfully equated with anti-Semitism. Earlier, UCLA agreed to pay $6 million to settle a separate anti-Semitism lawsuit. Now for this discussion, we're joined by Ambassador Pradeep Kapoor. He's a former diplomat, joins us live from Washington, D.C. Thank you for joining us today. Good to see you. Now, Governor Newsom's condemnation of the $1 billion settlement offer as political extortion raises questions about U.S.'s federal-state relations. So how could this conflict influence California's relationship with federal government?
So, it's very interesting developments which are taking place in the U.S., also in the academic sector, and vis-a-vis the universities versus the federal government. And California is one of the biggest states of the US with a lot of political weightage, a lot of electoral votes, which impact the central federal government significantly. And many times there are stories about how it wants to become a separate country, etc. So, considering all that past track record, Newsom also has political ambitions. He is aiming to run for the presidency in the next 3.5 years, when the next round of elections is due. So, it is a possibility that he may be the Democratic candidate. So, he has to also position himself in that way. Currently, the higher education system in the US is dependent on the federal government, on the State Department in many significant ways. In the sense that if people from anywhere outside US have to apply for visas for education purposes for coming to the US, the State Department controls that entire process. Even when they are in the US, there is a lot of control by the government on their service number, etc., and on the continuation of their studies. So it is very easy for any government to put any sort of pressure on any university in the United States, because one of the major sources of funding for most of the universities is the foreign students. Because the fees which is charged to the foreign students is much higher than the fees which is charged to American students, and also the fees which is charged to the state residents is lower than even that. So there is a lot of differential. So the foreign students are bringing in a lot of money value also in terms of billions of dollars worth of funds coming to the universities. So if the foreign student pipeline is blocked or controlled or choked or stopped, it becomes a very big burden on the university. Then another big source of funding for the universities is the research fund, is the grant funds, which are given by the federal government, which are given by the state government, which are given by the other organizations, including parts of the federal agencies. So if that is stopped, again it becomes a very big chokehold. So for universities not to comply with the request or requirements or diktats of the federal government, it becomes very difficult for them to survive comfortably financially in the next few months or years. So every university has a lot of pressure. Harvard University, which has billions of dollars worth of endowment, is trying to fight the federal government on its demands and going to the courts, etc. But how successful an outcome that will be will have to be seen. So UCLA, whether it accepts that or it agrees to the federal government conditions, will also be known in the next few days. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, for sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we come back to you on our next news as well. India's ambassador